Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is a historical fiction novel and it was published in 2017. This is my fifth book by this author. I've given all of her books 5 stars and this one is no exception. I absolutely loved it and I've given it 5 stars. So our main character is Evelyn Hugo. She is a Hollywood icon and at the age of 79 she is now going to tell her story to the world for the very first time. Obviously, everyone's very excited to hear about her glamorous, scandalous, wonderful life. And then she chooses a fairly unknown magazine reporter to write her story, who is called Monique. And everyone is astounded by this because she could basically have any writer in the world and they would be just so excited to write her story. So that's all I'm going to tell you about the plot. It's basically Evelyn's life story and I found her such a wonderful character. She is so complex, so nuanced, so flawed, and yet she's just such a brilliant character. At times she's very unlikable, but you can't help but to like her. I find her so charming, so charismatic, just such a kind of force to be reckoned with. And I think especially becoming famous in 1950s old Hollywood for a woman was very different from nowadays. And she just kind of epitomizes a woman of that era. I think she very much reminds me of a Marilyn Monroe type of figure. She is, you know, old Hollywood glamour. She is a sex symbol. She's blonde. She's just kind of the vibes from that kind of old Hollywood era. And yeah, I thought this was absolutely brilliant. I found it a very emotional read at times. It did make me cry. And I just thought it was just so well constructed and I was so intrigued by her life. And there was a few little reveals that were coming along, one of which I did predict, but it absolutely did not affect my enjoyment at all. I was very much along for the ride. I thought it was wonderful. I think the character of Evelyn is just truly brilliant. There's times when you just can't believe what she's done or what she said, or you can't believe that she's let something like an opportunity or something kind of slip her by. And then there's other times when you're just absolutely rooting for her. And I just think she's such an interesting, such a complex character. And probably one of my favourite characters that Taylor Jenkins Reid has ever written about. So in terms of the other books, I've given them all 5 stars and it's so difficult to rank them because I love them all in different ways. But I think this is possibly now my favourite Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I said previously that I think my favourites were Daisy Jones and the Six and Carrie Soto is Back. And this one is now up there. I think on different days you could ask me and I would say different things, but I think now it's going to have to go The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, ranked in first spot, and then in second Daisy Jones and the Six, and then third Carrie Soto is Back, and then fourth will be Malibu Rising. But I love that, so it's crazy to think a book I adore so much could be ranked, you know, fourth. And then fifth would be One True Love. So that's all the books I've read by her. I did actually try to read Maybe in Another Life and it just kind of wasn't my cup of tea at all. So I put that one down. So yeah, 5 brilliant books by her. And yeah, I think Evelyn Hugo is genuinely my favourite Taylor Jenkins Reid character. She's just so well written, so believable. I could absolutely believe that this woman is sitting somewhere genuinely having these conversations with Monique about her life. I would absolutely be on board with this being a genuine, real woman who truly exists. It just feels that well written and just that well told that if you came out and told me that she's a real person, I would absolutely believe you. So yeah, I thought it was so brilliant. I think following someone's life story from kind of the very early beginnings and seeing how she made it into Hollywood in the 1950s as a very poor girl. She hasn't come from wealth, she hasn't come from people who are also actors. She's just come from very humble beginnings and she's basically clawed her way to the top in every sense of the word. She's done basically whatever is necessary to become famous and to become one of the most popular actresses in the world. And I think it's so interesting to follow a woman with so much ambition and so much drive and so much passion. Very reminiscent, I think, of the Carrie Soto character. So obviously in Carrie Soto is back, she is a tennis star, so this one's an actress. And I think we don't have enough characters kind of in literature these days of really strong, independent, super motivated women. And I think Carrie Soto and, you know, Evelyn Hugo are similar in that kind of vein. They will basically do whatever it takes to win as such. And I think it's so interesting to follow a character such as that. And I really liked seeing the explanation of her 7 husbands. And I think as you were going through it, she kind of refers to each husband as a kind man, or goddamn this person, or, you know, kind-hearted someone else. And it's really nice to see that the book is split into those kind of parts. So you basically follow her life through the succession of her husbands. So you start with her very first husband, of course, and the kind of the meeting of him. And we just kind of follow her through each successive husband. And some of those relationships are just heartbreaking and heart-wrenching, and some of them are really abusive and horrible, and some of them are so passionate. And I think as well, I like the way in which she explores different types of love. And there's the love which is essentially just lust and infatuation. And then there's the love where maybe it's the right person but the wrong time, or the wrong person at the right time, if you will. And then there's also times when it's like true friendship and true companionship. And then there's times when it's just pure passion. And then there's times when it's like your true soulmate as well. So she explores so many different types of love and friendship and companionship. And I think it's really, really well told. So overall, I absolutely loved this book. It's one of my favourite books of the year, and it's one of my favourite books of all time now. I just thought it was absolutely wonderful, and this is definitely a case where the hype is absolutely deserved. I know that this is a beloved book, and I am very late to the party reading this one, and I just think it's absolutely worthy of all the hype that it gets. It has over 2 million ratings on Goodreads, and yeah, it's brilliant. It's definitely worthy of the hype. I think going into this one, I already had a very, very high bar for Taylor Jenkins Reid books. And I've always wondered at some stage, am I going to read one of the super, super hype books that she has and be a little bit disappointed because it is so hyped and everyone says it's so wonderful. And I haven't. I've literally come away from all of them thinking that was wonderful, it was brilliant, and it was worthy of the hype. So yeah, really, really great book. If you haven't read it yet, I would absolutely recommend that you do. It's definitely worth your time. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant book. And I just can't wait to read whatever she writes next. I will literally buy any book that she publishes now. She is 100% an auto-buy author for me, and very much I think one of my favourite authors of all time now. To say that I've read 5 books by her and they were all 5 stars, some of the best books in the year in which I've read them, and nearly all my favourite books of all time at this stage. Yeah, I think she's really, really, really great, and I couldn't recommend it highly enough if you haven't yet read it. So yeah, if you have read this book, I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you haven't yet read it, and I've kind of encouraged you to do so, definitely let me know that too, and come back and let me know what you think of it once you've read it. So I will actually link my book reviews for all of the other books of hers that I have read, just in case you'd like to hear my thoughts on any of them. They're all spoiler free, and I think they're all wonderful. I think all the books are wonderful. Like I said, the only one I wasn't 100% sure on was Maybe in Another Life, and perhaps I'll give it a go in the future, but at the time it just kind of wasn't my cup of tea. But yeah, I think she's a brilliant author, genuinely one of my favourite authors now, and yeah, can't wait to read another one by her. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you've liked it, and please do subscribe if you'd like to hear more of me talking about books. I'll see you in my next one.